I always wanted my dad to be different. I didn't want him to be a criminal. I didn't want him to be in prison. And the more I kept living that story, the farther I got away from being able to really connect with him. And once I got to a place where I realized that, I just got to this incredibly intimate, tender-hearted place. There was a day that I was sitting in the visiting room with my dad after I'd gone to this women's retreat, and I'd shared for the first time in any group whatsoever that I'd seen my dad hit my mom. I knew I had to get real with my dad. I knew I had to speak up. I knew I had to tell him how I felt. That was the next step for healing our relationship. So I sat in, we were sitting in the visiting room, and he was holding my hand, and I told him, I said, Dad, I still couldn't tell him that I saw him, what I said in the retreat, but I did tell him, I said, Dad, Mom left you when I was a child because she was afraid of you. And that was really hard for me, Dad. It was really hard for me. I had to leave my school. I had to leave my friends. I was really scared that my mom was gone, and I didn't know when she was going to be back. And I said to him, and I admitted to him for the first time after all this time, I didn't realize how hurt I was. And my dad, he just reached out and he took my hand, and tears just welled up in his eyes. And he looked at me and said, I knew you were hurt. And we just sat there and we held hands, and we didn't say anything. But we were, at that moment, our hearts were completely connected. And it was the start of this relationship, a real, honest relationship. And I began to feel like the more I healed myself and the more I could be honest with myself, the more that he was healing.